moderator for the panel session to introduce the panelists. So for this panel, we're going to be discussing everything about how to unlock profitable opportunities with your digital skills. So for those of you that have learned one digital skill or the other, and you're still not sure how to deploy, how to use this skill that you've learned to page. So this is a session you also want to pay attention to. Be ready to ask questions that will help you. So pay attention and always type in your questions in the chat. Starting with the letter Q. Don't wait till the end of the session to ask your question, because if you do that, you run a risk of not getting your question responded to. And so I'd like to call on the panel moderator. I hope she's here, Chinelo Opara. Chinelo, if you can hear me, kindly unmute yourself. Kindly unmute yourself.
I've done that.
Hello, Chinelo. Oh, yes, she's here right now. So Chinelo, please, Chinelo is a corporate financial advisory associate. She works at Landmark Africa. She's just going to take 1 more minute and tell us a bit more about herself before she goes on to introduce the rest of the panelists. Chinelo, please tell us. We're happy to have you here. Tell us about yourself. Tell us the key things you want us to know about yourself. Thank you.
Chinwe. Thank you so much. It's good to have you here as well. Thanks to our speaker from Sweden for that insightful keynote speaker section. I did learn a lot. I usually tell fellow that I believe that the power to succeed is within. Gone are the days when people depend on paid employment. Right now, there are so many opportunities out there on digital related opportunities that one can leverage on. And I definitely learned a lot from that section. So thank you once again. So before I commence this section, I'm going to want to appreciate some persons. I would like to express gratitude to the government of Anambra State. I don't know if you can hear me. Am I audible enough?
Yes, you are.
You're very clear.
Okay. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the governor of Anambra State, His Excellency Professor Chukwuma Soludo. The governor has been very vocal about his huge agenda for the youth in terms of employment and empowerment, skills acquisition, and financial support. And we've actually seen him go beyond promises to actual implementation. So many ways. The solution districts, the body organizing this particular training, is one of such ways that he's been implementing his promises to the people. And also special thanks to our very own Chinwe Okoli, who is the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor and Business Incubation and Innovation. Thank you, Chinwe, for driving this initiative. I've attended seminars and conferences of this nature where the participants were expected to pay good amounts of money before they can have access to all the learning opportunities. So I'm usually very happy when I see the government try to put up things like this. So just a little bit of introduction about myself. I wouldn't want to take your time. So just like she said, my name is Chinelo. I'm a corporate financial advisory associate with Landmark Africa. I actually started my career in an investment bank where I work with a team to execute some corporate finance advisory mandates. What we do essentially is that we act as consultants to medium and large scale enterprises, and we also prefer innovative financing solutions to them. We advise them and also help them to raise funding to expand their business operations, fund working capital, and the rest of them. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the panel session, and I believe we're going to be learning a lot on this section. I'm particularly happy about this because I was reading something 2 days ago, and then I saw it was in news by MBS, and then I saw the unemployment rate currently in Nigeria. Youth unemployment particularly is at 42.5%. That's a lot. That's a lot actually, because Nigeria's total labor force is 70 million, and we're having 42.5% of this labor force not being gainfully employed, and they are also youth, So, and then I try to compare these figures with what we have in countries such as the United States and Rwanda, and the numbers were like way below 7%. And so one thing I find out the relationship that these countries have is that they're very much advanced in terms of technology. Rwanda is doing so well, maybe not as advanced as some Western countries, but they're really picking up, So I'm very glad about this. So I'm just going to go proceed and introduce our panelists. So we have experts in different fields of tech who we're going to be learning so much from today. So we've already had the topic for today, unlocking profitable opportunities by leveraging on your digital skills. So if you're interested in starting or advancing your tech career path or increasing your earning potential through digital skills, please pay rapt attention. I'm going to introduce them now. So the first panelist is Ikechukwu Anambra. So Ikechukwu is a friend of mine, and he also happens to be the CEO of Ike Branding. He's also the co-founder Media Hub. He's a professional editor. He's a digital marketer. He's a brand visibility strategist. Though he currently resides in Oka, Anambra State now, his expertise has made him a sought-after personality and enabled him handle projects across the world. I can attest to that. I've worked with Ike on a lot of projects. So his portfolio is as follows. He was the brand manager of Raw Hub UNN. I happen to speak in UNN as well. From 2017 to 2019. He's also the head of media at Filler Company in South Africa. He's brand communication manager, African Institute of Small Scale Mining. He's the head of media and digital marketer at 247 Online Medics Nigeria. He's a graphic designer at New Door Trading and Services in Qatar. He was also the graphic designer and head of media at the Oxford African Conference. He still is, he took up that mandate in 2020 and still that to date. Ikechukwu is also the brand manager for Dunia Group Mozambique. He's a brand manager and publication at Grand Africa Initiative. He's also a graphic designer at Greenage Technology, to mention but a few. Currently, Ike is a senior special assistant to the governor of Anambra State on innovation and business incubation. So please, if you're excited to have Ike here, you may drop your comments in the chat section. Just maybe wave. Ike, if you're here, can you please say hi to the house so that we know that you're here? Hello, Ike, are you here?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you so much, Nelu. Hi, guys.
Okay, good. It's good to have you here, Ike. So the second speaker that we have is we have Chiamaka Nduro here as well. Chiamaka Nduro is a social media manager and digital marketer. She believes there are hidden riches on the online space yet to be explored. She preaches and for volunteering. Chiamaka has 3 years hands-on experience in copywriting and content writing. She's the content lead for a photography company in New York, USA. She works as a social media assistant for a company in Connecticut, USA, and her core values are excellence, integrity, and service to God through men. Chiamaka, please, are you here? Can you please say hi to the house?
Hello, thank you very much.
Hi, Chiamaka, it's good to have you here. So we also have the third panelist here is Chukwuemeka Precious Asadu. He's an experienced software developer with a demonstrated history of working in the computer software industry. He's skilled in software and web design and development. He does software testing, networking, software documentation, and computer application training. He's a strong information technology professional with a bachelor's degree focused in computer science from the University of Nigeria. Chukwuemeka Precious Asadu, are you here? Could you please say hello to the house?
Everyone. Thank you for having me, and you're welcome to this wonderful session.
Thank you, Chukwuemeka. And then digital transformation advocacy in London. Ayodo, are you here? Please, could you please say hi to the house?
I'm here. Glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you so much. before we go further, Ayanda, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself? I'm not sure I have.
Okay. Yeah, so my name is Tosin Ayanda. People just call me Tosin. I'm a senior software developer. I have 7 years experience. I'm working with Microsoft technologies and open source technologies too. So I've done full stack development. So that's web. You do the front end, you do the back end. I've also had the opportunity to work on business process automation. I'm using a tool that's called UiPath. They call it RPA really. So it allows organizations to kind of optimize, kind of like automate certain kind of processes that they do kind of within the organizations, so as to save time and to remove kind of like some user kind of error, operations that users perform that lead to a lot of errors. So yeah, and I do have I dabble a bit into kind of like cloud and DevOps. Yeah, so I'm a technology guy really. Currently, kind of like I work remotely for a company in the US, or a startup in the US rather. That's we're launching a product in a few months, and I hope I'll come back here to share the product to everyone here, really. So yeah, that's all about
Thank you
me.
so much, Tosin. It's good to have you here. You had it yourself. I told you we have a number of experts here, and we're going to be learning a lot from them. Please, if you have any questions for them, do not wait until the end of the session. So as they're sharing the knowledge with us and we're learning from their wealth of experience, you can drop your questions in the chat sections. We're going to note your questions, and then we can, I think you can drop it here, or you can send it via emails, and we'll collect them and then we'll ask at the right time. So Oluwatosin, I have one question for you. Something we'd like to know about you. Could you please share your personal journey about how you became a software developer? What were some key decisions that shaped your path?
Okay, yes, I would love to go into that. I'm a graduate of Federal University of Technology, Akure. So that's FUTA. I graduated in 2015 with the degree in electrical and electronics engineering. That was kind of like my major during my undergraduate days. And in my final year, I was fortunate to take a class on object-oriented programming using the C# language. After my undergraduate days, after my NYSC, I spent a couple of months at home, really. And then when I was deciding what exactly was the next phase of my life going to be, I realized I had an 16 skill, really. Because I fell in love with programming really during kind of like that final semester that I had in my university. So I took a couple of months to kind of work on some projects. And when I was approaching kind of organizations for internship or entry-level positions, I show them and I went from just simple, from just kind of like web programming to doing things more in kind of like cloud, like Azure, AWS, and also kind of like the RPA, using the UiPath tool really. So that's kind of like my journey so far. Is there anything I'm missing?
Thank you so much, Oluwatosin. Thank you for that detailed story about how you started your career. One key thing that I noted here was that you started as an intern and then you also started very early. And I'm sure that we have students on this call. So you can take one or two things from that. You don't have to wait until you're done schooling. You can actually start building your career as you're schooling. I mean, I started as an intern as well. It's always easier to get in as an intern. Thank you so much. So I have a question for Chukwemeka Asadu. Hi, Chukwemeka. Hi, Chukwemeka, can you hear me?
Hello, Chinelo, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. Chukwemeka, I know that we have some people here in the house who are very interested in full stack web development, and you're an expert in that field. So could you please take us back a little bit to when you started your journey and some key decisions that shaped that part? Thank you. Just briefly.
Okay, thank you very much. My story is kind of different because I took interest in computers generally quite early as my GSS1 in secondary school. So I have an uncle who is very good with computers. In my GSS1, he told me to accompany him to a cyber cafe where he went to check his email. And then, it was a new thing. That was my first time understanding what an email is. And then I said I was going to get an email that day. So he said I wasn't up to the age that I could do that much later. So that stuck with me. I was curious about getting an email. And then after my secondary school, that was around 2009-ish, I enrolled for computer training in a computer training school. And after that, I did well and was retained as a trainer and instructor, but then an intern. But then that's just for basic computer skills. So actually, the owner of the college invited some guys from UNN, some guys from electronic engineering from UNN to come and start more advanced courses in the college, which included computer programming, networking, and all of that. So I took that opportunity to enroll into these advanced programs, learned very well, came out. And then while writing JAMB, I actually opted for computer science, but did not get that. Rather, I got pure industrial chemistry. I spent 1 year in that studying pure industrial chemistry, but after 1 year, I realized I was sort of moving away from some sort of a calling, if I should refer to that as that. So after my 1 year, I opted for a change of course, and then I moved over to computer science. That particular decision was actually very key because yes, now a lot of people will tell you that programming doesn't actually need need a degree in computer science or related field. But I would beg to differ slightly because there are a lot of things they teach you. There are a lot of theoretical aspects of the trainings you get as a computer scientist, studying computer science, that actually form the basics, the basic foundation, the building blocks of the kind of programmer you become. Right? Algorithms, data structures, and all of these, they are the basics, the building blocks of being a good programmer. And then that's where I actually got that. And then while as a student of computer science, I was building projects, I was already developing websites. I would go around schools around Nsukka and then just basically build websites for free for them. And after that, I graduated and then had some more courses to advance my knowledge. And from that, I worked with a couple of startups. That was 2017-ish. And then startups that cut across fintech, insurtech, and then edtech, which actually launched me into founding or co-founding the educational technology company called Schools Focus, which is currently serving schools and institutions across Nigeria and a couple of other African countries. So for the sake of time, I'll stop here.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. So key takeaway for me is to never give up on your dream. Even when you experience obstacles, you should stay focused. Because when you try to gain admission to study computer science, you were giving something else, but then you still you found a way and went back to your passion. And I think that's very inspiring. Thank you. So I also have a question for, I have a question for Ikechukwu and Anambra. Ikechukwu, are you here? Hello, Ikechukwu, are you here?
Yes, Nelo, I'm here.
Okay. So I know we have aspiring graphic designers in the house and, you know, graphic designing enthusiasts. And I know that particular field is very profitable in Nigeria. So can you tell us how you started? At what point did you decide that was what you wanted to do? And, you know, how did you like expand on that? Because that's not the only thing you do right now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chinelo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, once again, my name is Ikechukwu and Anambra, and my journey as a designer started from way back in 2012 in Abuja, when I was doing a couple of dirty jobs. Then, dirty jobs, I mean, I was like working in a block industry, serving as a mason in a site, and all those kind of petty jobs. They will pay me 1,000 and 2,000 daily pay. So from that moment, the last job I did that I finally brought me to this to the world of tech was I worked as a cleaner in a company in Abuja, a very popular company. I wouldn't like to mention the name here. And then the pay was quite high for me at that level. So as someone who just finished secondary school and I'm earning like over 25,000 naira as a cleaner. So I feel very comfortable. Yeah, I feel comfortable, and I was quite okay with that amount at that level, because I feel like that money was enough for me. And then not until when I go to work, I see our employees, the people working for, they keep encouraging, like, this young guy, what are you doing here? You're not meant to be here. Why not go back to school? Why not have a skill that you should? So when they give me those advice, I just take it, maybe because they like me so much in that workspace. So I felt like, let me just ignore them. Until one time my dad took it personal. I came back for holiday during the weekend, and he sat me down. He was like, hey, that this thing I'm doing is not a job anymore. I have to go back to school. Or if I don't want to go back to school, I should pick up a skill. I can go to, I can learn any hand skill rather than me working as a cleaner. He doesn't like that kind of job. And that was when I have to resign from the company. And then when I was about to resign, they refused. They don't want me to leave. The head of the department had to call me. Why? I have to explain. And in fact, they have to collect my dad's number. And then my dad insisted that I have to leave. He want me to go back to school. And that was how they allowed me to go. And then that was how I went into learning computer from the Microsoft and Micro Excel and all that. So after that, I got a job. I got a job to work in a school called Bedrock in Abuja. And I was working in the school just as a typist. I was just typing in the school. And from there, I started thinking, hey, at this moment, there's a couple of things I wanted to do, but I can't do them because I don't have what it takes to do them. Meaning I need to invite a graphic designer to teach me one or two things. And that was how the interest came up for me to go to enroll for graphics training. So I went for the training in Abuja in one popular center called UTC. I learned over 2 years. I spent 2 years learning everything I need to know about printing, everything I need to know about graphics. And that was where my journey began. That was where I started my journey from. And from there, I got admission to University of Nigeria, Nsukka. And that was how I came to school. And the university also helped in spicing the journey for me. And when I got to school, everything about my dream, especially on the world of tech, that was where it all kickstarted from. And that is how I found myself into the world of tech today. All right, Nello, are you there?
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, okay, thank you so much. So key takeaways for me, I hope we're listening. I hope you listen to Ike's story. So two takeaways for me is that number one, mentorship is very important. We all need mentorship. When Ike started out, he wasn't dreaming. He was very okay with the prompts that he was getting. He didn't imagine that there could be something better than that. Because at the time, the little 25,000 he was earning was okay for him. But his father was like his mentor who had to like directing towards the right path, and look at what he has become today. Another takeaway for me was that what you are today does not define you. I did so many a job. He didn't start out great, but I can say that today his dreams are coming to pass. Ike is being that he's someone that I know he's definitely doing what he always wanted to do. So thank you so much, Ike. So, I have many more questions for you. Maybe not so much, but I still have some questions for you.
All right.
Please, can you provide an advice on how to maintain? Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Hello? Okay. Chamaka, I don't know if you are here. Please, can you indicate that you're still here? Hello, Chamaka.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so Chamaka is a social media expert. Says she's achieved a lot using social media. You understand the power of social media and the wonders that it can do. So I'd like Chamaka to tell us how she started her journey as a social media manager. How did that start? What motivated you to be that? Are you enjoying the job?
Okay, I started my journey in social media management last year. Yeah, that's very early. But I've been on the online space, doing trial and error for like 3 years now. I started with copywriting, and I did copywriting since I did it for like from 2020, roughly 2019, sorry. So I did it, then I kept on learning, watching YouTube videos. I took some paid courses on copywriting as well. And then just last year during the strike, I spoke to my mentor about social media management, and I spoke to a friend, and I found out that she was also into it, somebody here in school. So I now spoke to my mentor, he encouraged me. So I paid for the certificate course, Precious Chika Academy. So I got enrolled into the course. I took the course, I think it spanned for like 2 weeks. So I got certified and started, trying with my personal account. And then one of the things that helped me was I volunteered for a photography company here in Nigeria. So the guy, I know him, like I've known him for a while. So I just told him, okay, this is something I've learned. I would like to use your account to practice. It's like there was nothing special about the photography. I had a little interest in it, but not like as much as my major interests. So he gave me access to his account. We started. I was trying out all the things I've learned. And of course, I wasn't getting paid. It was volunteer work. So I did it for like a month before I now landed my first clients in the US. It's still a photography company. So it was a kind of a connection thing for me. So, and since then, I've been learning on the job because like it wasn't even up to 2 months I took interest in this thing and I got my first good paying job. So, and progression, at some point, the man was like, okay, let's stop working with contract. That he has worked with me, he thinks I'm good, and I'm very open to learning. Let's not work with contracts. That he wants to like make me a permanent staff. So that has just been the journey. And it has been from one referral to another. He keeps referring me to
Chamaka, are you there? Hello, Chamaka, are you there?
I think I'm done.
Okay, thank you so much, Chamaka. So two key takeaways for me from what Chamaka had told us is the power in volunteering. Sometimes it doesn't have to be all about the money. Sometimes you could sacrifice the financial gain for some experience. Experience is what is going to take you far in life. Chamaka, you did mention that you took a course when you started. Can you tell us about it? Was it expensive? Can you tell us what is the name of the course so that our listeners can, look it up and maybe take that course? Was it expensive? What was the financial implication? How much did you pay? Hello, Chamaka, are you there? Oh, I think we lost Chamaka, unfortunately. Maybe when she comes back on, I can ask her the question again. So over to the next question, which is very important. I'd like to know, panelists, can you provide advice on how to maintain a positive reputation and relationship with your clients as a beginner, as a web developer, as a graphic designer? Can you provide advice on how to maintain a positive reputation and relationship? Please, anyone in the panel can answer the question. And I don't know if our keynote speaker would also like to chip in one or two things.
Would you like to go first with that?
I'm sure you can. You can.
I think you're muted. Can you unmute, please?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, how to develop a good client relationship. You're muted.
Yeah, sorry, I thought I unmuted. So, yes. So, for people that are just getting into IT, I think one of the most important things you can do when dealing with clients is sticking to timelines. So timelines, that's kind of like one of the main areas where kind of like client relations tends to kind of like down when you promise to deliver your work in 2 weeks and then you take more than that, really. So for people that are just starting, one advice I would give them is right from this early phase of either their career or indeed their freelancing or probably even working with a company, they should learn to kind of like make use of digital productivity tools that will enable them with organized and timeline and scheduling, really. So tools like Asana, Trello, some of these tools are free, so they allow you to kind of like list the tasks you have to do, so that you don't have a situation or a scenario where, so even during the planning phase of the project, right? When you're having initial discussion with the client, you itemize everything you want to do, really, you give each one of the tasks the time, and you'll be able to, after each week or every 2 weeks, you can assess how much work is left, how much has to be done, and if you are still going to be able to meet up with the timeline, really. So even if you have to extend the project timeline, you should be able to notify the client in advance, really, so that it shows that you're serious. I think that's one of the things. So the new people in IT, really, or IT professionals in general, really should learn how to use some of these productivity management tools, really. So you don't have to pay money for some of these tools. So things like Asana, Trello, taking notes, and these are kind of like simple kind of low-hanging fruits, really, that you can ensure that you're able to keep your timeline. So if you're able to keep your timelines, then definitely you'd have less issues with clients. Mr. Precious, we can take over, really. I'm sure you have other points to add.
Yes, thank you very much. The timeline actually comes in very important because that is where relationships between software, or let's say web designer or developer, and the client start breaking when you don't meet your timeline or your deadline. So in addition to that, I'd like to chip in a couple of things, one of which is as a beginner in the web design or web development area, especially if you're going through the freelance route. When I say freelance, I mean you're working directly, you're seeking out clients and you're working directly for them. You're not working under a company. So one of the key important things you need to do is to develop soft skills, right? One is emotional intelligence. You need to really be able to connect with people on the level where they are, understand their needs. Like the keynote speaker rightly said, you need to listen a lot. So you listen very well, you understand the needs of your clients, then you build to solve their problems. That is one thing. The second thing there, just in the space of the soft skills, is communication skills. So if you're not able to communicate, people that may not even know half of what you can do coming to take jobs from your desk, because why? They can market well, they can communicate well, they can talk well, they are more in sync with the client than you are. So you need to, first of all, develop good communication skills, be able to sell yourself well, what you can do, your skills, be able to sell them well. So in addition to that, we also, I would also like to add that you have to continue learning, because the world of technology is moving so fast. Technologies are changing, upgrading almost at the speed of light. So if you are stuck at what you learned, let's say 6 months ago, 1 year ago, 2 years ago, then you're not going to be able to impress your client, because there are a lot of people out there that are on top of the trend. So you need to continue learning, keep improving yourself, and make sure you deliver, make sure you do what you say, right? The next thing there is you should not overpromise. When you know you can't do something, don't go and promise you are going to be able to do that. So rather, the good thing is you underpromise and then overdeliver. So by the next time you'll be working with that particular client, even when you don't say much, they know your capacity. They know your capability. They know what you can do. So just like Oluwatosin has already added, manage your time very well. A lot of developers actually default in this. You see someone collecting jobs from 5, 6 different persons and promising them they are going to deliver within the next 1 week, 2 weeks. If you don't manage your time well, if you don't have a team that you're working with, you know for sure you're not going to be able to management tool like Asana, Trello, there are various project management tools out there. So when you're actually discussing with a client, once you take a glance at the timeline of your work, you should be able to schedule the deadline to suit your working schedule. You shouldn't just go tell your client you're delivering next week when you know you have a lot of piled up jobs on your desk. So I'd like to stop here for now. Thank you very much.
We can't hear you, Nelo.
Thanks so much. I don't know if any other panelists has something to add to what Hussein and Precious has said.
Okay, just to add to what Mr. Tosin and Mr. Precious just said now, I'll just add few keywords which are very common to everyone here. And one, you need to be reliable. Whenever a client is working with you, one of the key words they have to work with you is you being reliable. Once you're reliable, some client, you don't even need to do some adverts. People will get to know you and people will get to refer you to other clients. I'm one of those graphic designers that you don't see me make adverts anywhere. Even if you see me do adverts, you see it's coming from either people working with me, or myself. I don't usually do adverts because I have multiple jobs to do every day. And why is because people always know me for one thing. They always talk about this guy is reliable. Whenever people refer me to a client, they use that keyword, this guy is reliable, work with him. And that is what is taking me to where I am today. Even the Oxford University I'm working to right now, that was the keyword. The first job I got from Oxford was the keyword they used. Hey, this guy is reliable. Can we work with this guy? And that was how I got involved into that deal. And the second time that was when I started getting involved. Second thing we need to also look into again is you need to be open to corrections. Most times we as designers, we might have our own philosophy. We might actually have our own ethics about a design, but some clients might have their own different view on what they want. So you need to you need to have an open mind for you to listen and then take corrections from clients. Sometimes we feel too big when clients tell us, hey, I don't want this, I don't want this. And then from there, we are losing it. So I'm one kind of designer that even if you call me right now and say, hey, this is this, I will take my time and look into it and say, okay, sorry, sir, let's get it done. So you don't have to feel too big. You don't have to feel like your client doesn't know what they want. For the fact they are paying you.
Thank you so much, Ike.
Okay,
thank you, Ike. Thank you so much.
I would have
Thank
liked
you so much.
to end with this last one. Sorry.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay. So
Briefly, please.
the last one I want to say is also you making yourself available for clients. Understand? You need to make yourself available, and then also you also need to be an ambassador of your client brand. For the fact that your clients are paying you, you need to know how to also sell without being told. Once you are involved through that source they're paying you, you also need to be an ambassador of that brand. So I wouldn't because of time, I wouldn't like to digest more.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. I don't know if people in the audience miss one or two things I was actually jotting. So in summary, the answer to the question about client relationship management is their timeline is very important. You need to meet your deadline. And then soft skills, you need to be emotionally intelligent. You have to listen a lot. Don't always be in a haste to talk. Listen and understand your clients. And you have to have good communication skills to actually be able to sell yourself. And then you should learn always, else you become obsolete, like develop yourself. Always deliver. Don't just do the talk. Do the talk, don't just talk, but implement what you've said. And then do not overpromise, rather underpromise and over-deliver, and be reliable. A good work sells itself. Be open to corrections and make yourself available always to clients. Okay, thank you so much for the great answers. So I'm just going to, we just have a couple of other questions. We're trying to wrap up now. As a professional in your field, which would you say is more profitable, especially for our web designers and developers? Is it working as a freelancer or working as a company's employee? I don't know if you got the questions, web developers. And so which is better? Is it to be a freelancer or work for someone else, work for a company, paid employment? Which is better? Who's taking the question?
Yes, thank you very much for that question. That usually brings up a lot of debates in the space of web designers and developers. So I would say that there is none that is superior to the other, but then you should know what you want to go for and what you're capable of. And then you should know the differences between the two. So I'll start by, if you're working with a company as an employee, one, there is some sort of security you have, in the sense that by the end of the month, for sure, there's something, there's a salary, there's a wage coming in. That is one thing. Then working as an employee also means that maybe there may be a different department or a different unit of the company that is taking care of the marketing. So they go do the talking out there, they bring the job home, then you deliver the job. You do the building and deliver the job. Yes. So the other part of working as an employee is that maybe sometimes some employees will tell you that the work they do, they sort of get underpaid. The company makes a lot of money from what you do, and then you don't get all what you feel you want to get. So on the side of freelancing, you also need to understand a couple of things, which are the realities. A lot of people tell you, you call them for a job, they tell you they don't want to get employed, they want to freelance because they need freedom. They want freedom. They want to work from the comfort of anywhere, travel the world, travel to wherever they want and all of that. But you also need to understand that you are totally in charge, especially when you don't run an agency by yourself and then you don't have a team. You are totally in charge of everything. Every dime that comes into your pocket, you have to work for it. You are the chief CEO, you are the chief marketing officer, you are the chief financial officer, you are everything. And then the freelance space is kind of getting, the way says, I wouldn't say saturated, but then it's getting very competitive now. When you go to the spaces like Upwork, Freelance, Fiverr, you see a lot of people, web designers, web developers. A job is posted now before the next 1 minute. Indians, I'm sorry to use that, but Indians will be all over everywhere. And they are doing the job almost for free. And then you find out brothers from Africa, Nigeria, they find it very, very, very hard to get gigs from those platforms. So we also need to bear all of this in mind. So if you want to go the freelancing route, you need to wear all the hats. You need to be ready to wear all the hats, because sometimes, in fact, a lot of the times it's not easy. If you rather would want to go for the security that is involved with working with a company, then just compare the both and know which you would want to go for. However, the both are very lucrative. Some companies pay very, very lucratively for web designers, web developers. If you're a freelancer, you can also get gigs that will pay you. I mean, you do a gig that will just take you 2 weeks and you earn so much from it. So whichever one you want to take, just know that there is hard work. You really need to work for you to earn as much as you want to earn. Thank you very much.
I have a question, Precious. Is it not possible to combine both, to take up a paid employment and also, do some maybe remote jobs whilst you're taking up a paid employment? Is it okay to combine the two?
Yes. So one point I missed. I mean, I did not add there is the part of the freedom and sort of the not so freedom of working with a company. So it is very possible to work, I mean, as both an employee and a freelancer, but then that depends on your working terms with your company. If your company demands, I mean, your job at your company is very demanding, and you know that maybe when you pick up a freelance gig by the side, it's going to clash with time. You're not going to be able to do that. Then in that case, it's not going to be very easy for you to combine both. But then if your job at your company is more of a result-oriented, maybe you're free to work slightly remotely, you're not required 5 days a week at the office, and then you want to deliver tasks that are assigned to you for the week. Then yes, if you can combine both freelancing and working as an employee, then you can do that. So it all depends on, first of all, your time, the time your work takes you at your company, and then your ability to manage the jobs you have and your time. So that's what I would say about that.
Thank you so much, Precious. Thank you. I have more. Okay, thank you so much, Precious. I have a few questions for the rest of the panelists. So would like to know, what are some common challenges you face as a web designer or developer, or a graphic designer, and how would you advise beginners in the field to overcome such challenges you face in your career? Anyone can take the question.
Okay, one of the challenges I faced when I was starting out was the issue of pricing. You know, I'm young. I just got onto like the social media management thing, and I was still a bit confused on how to price. You know, I just got in and I was like, any job at all, let me just start seeing something from it. It got to a point I just had to calm down and understand that sometimes you forget about money and focus on your value. If you can get it right in like the value you present as a person, that's the money that equates your value for you. So I had an issue then. Somebody would just come and tell me, okay, I need a social media management. I need a social media manager. How much do you charge? I wasn't definite on how much to charge. I just felt it's something that I could do. I had the time because we were on strike. I had the time. So I felt, okay, paid social amount. And in the long run, I would say that this job is bigger than this amount. You know, and I've seen a whole lot of beginners have this particular issue of sometimes they don't even know how to, especially when maybe at that particular point you need that amount. You just charge it, and deep into the job, you are now seeing that it will not work. It will now maybe sort of cause clash between you and your clients, especially when they are Nigerians. I had this issue with a lot of Nigerians. So it's one of the things that made me to now say, no, I'm gonna work for Nigerians anymore, unless I see somebody that will actually value me, because some of them will not even see that you are putting in the work in this thing. You spend to learn, you are still spending to learn. And they will just tell you, okay, do this thing for me, and tell you any amount that they have. Sometimes they even feel that they are doing you a favor by paying you that. So I think it's one of the things that beginners used to have. And the advice I have for somebody that is beginning in the online space is, like, if you are going into a particular niche, study the leaders, understand where they started from. It's okay to start small. It's okay to start from maybe what they're paying others. Maybe top leaders in your industry is 500K. It's okay to start from 50 or 100 or like thereabouts. It's okay to start small, but don't start in a way that you now tend to punish yourself. And in the long run, you live in regrets. So understand the value you are giving. Understand how this person receives that value, and it will help you to know how to price. And when you are watching what others are doing, what top leaders are doing, listening to their advice, it's hard. It's very hard to fall into that same temptation.
Thank you so much, Chiamaka. Thank you. Thank you, Chiamaka. So the key takeaway from what Chiamaka has said is do not allow yourself to be exploited, especially when you're just starting. There's a tendency for you to get overexcited when you get a gig because you're just beginning and it's not something you're used to. So people could take advantage of you. So you should be very careful. At every point in time, you should be able to weigh the value that you're offering against the financial benefit that you're going to get from that offering. Thank you so much. I don't know, does anyone have anything to say? Tosin, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, sure. Would love to add something. So I think I was kind of like speak for the perspective of someone working in the company. Obviously I've been working for companies for the past few years, and depending on which stage of your career you are, really, obviously the challenges are quite different. So for someone that is starting out, let's say you join the company as an intern or what's it called, or maybe like an entry-level technology guy. Obviously, there is you need to spend enough time really to learn about the domain you're working in. So if you're working in medicine or you're working in logistics, you need to actually spend time on your own really to learn about the terms in the industry that you're working with. Really, that's going to make it very easy for you when you're talking to nurses or probably people that work in the industry themselves. Really, so you don't want to be using technical terms. You want to use the same terms that they're using too. That's kind of like you need to upskill yourself in not just the technical side, but also kind of like the business side too, really. So that makes your job easy too as a developer as well. Then two is obviously the field is ever changing. It ties into point 1 and 2. So you always have to constantly learn new technologies. When I started, I was writing HTML, CSS, and I still write HTML and CSS really, but I wasn't doing much of JavaScript back then really. But now, probably a lot of people tell you have to use React.js, or you have to use Vue, or you have to use Angular for some of these things, right? So you need to also constantly work and build on yourselves too. And I think there is this saying about having depth and breadth, really. So you have like an area of specialization, but then also you should have enough knowledge about areas that are surround kind of like what you're working on. So for instance, let's say I don't talk about graphics. I can speak to that really. So as a developer, for instance, right? Maybe let's say you're doing front end, right? So you need to know the kind of like basic core technologies, HTML, CSS. You need to know things like JavaScript. You need to know things like UI, UX, for instance. You need to know things like UI, UX. How can you make sure you optimize this login page of your website? Some of these other kind of like technical things like this. How exactly things like A/B testing, for instance. So there are a lot of kind of things you need to know really around kind of revolving around kind of like what you're doing really. So it shouldn't just be only how I do front end. As a front end guy, you should have a bit of knowledge about what the guys at the back end are doing, for instance, right? Like the APIs you're calling. How do you know if an API has a problem? How do you communicate that to the other guys really? So you need to have knowledge, you have to specialize, and then you have knowledge about some other kind of ancillary kind of like fields. And the third thing is also you shouldn't overwork yourself really. I believe this a lot of people, because they're trying to keep the deadline sometimes, so you have people like burnout really. You don't really want to develop health challenges really because you're overworking yourself. In as much as you should put in maximum amount of effort, right? maybe 40, 50, 60 hours really. But at the same time, also really you should take care of your health really, because if you overwork yourself at this stage of your life, really, you might have health issues down the line, really. So I think it's more or less studies are showing even things like how people sit for like 8 hours a day might have an effect on probably like their posture and lead to kind of like back issues or back pain, chronic back issues down the line, really. So more or less kind of like take care of your health when you're working too, really. You obviously have an objective, there's a lot of competition, the same as time also to take care of your health too. That's kind of like something I've like.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tosin. Thank you so much. So the key takeaway is understand the industry dynamics, and then do not overwork yourself, and also do not limit yourself. Whilst it's good to be specialized, you should also have at least basic knowledge about other areas that are related to your field. Thank you so much. Mike, do you have something to say just very briefly? We're actually running behind schedule. Just very briefly.
Just to add to what everybody else said, one, that location is very important. Whenever you're charging a client, you need to know the location first. You need to for the fact that you are here in Nigeria, you don't expect to charge someone a billion or in millions or in dollars. So you need to charge according to your location. So if I'm charging Oxford University because they're in UK, I have to convert. In fact, the first job I did for Oxford University, what I charged that job was 400,000 naira. And maybe because I wasn't aware then, but the second year when I had to bid with them, I charged them 1.6 million for the same amount of job I did. Understand? And for the third time, I had to charge them 2.5. Understand? These are the same thing about the first time I worked with them. The mistake was because I was charging them in terms of Nigeria course. I felt like this thing here, even the 400,000 I was charging, I was even scared. Maybe they won't come back again. But later I have to go back to my drawing boss and then understand that, hey, these guys are coming from me. I have to give them this course according to their location. So these are one of the things we, as a beginner, you definitely have to face. So here in Nigeria, you need to cost people according to Nigeria costs. And then over there, you need to know their location to give them a cost. So another one, again, you need to also consider the level of the brand at the moment. You understand? There are some level, there's some companies you're working currently, they could be like a startup. So you don't expect to charge a startup what they cannot afford to pay you right now. You understand? So you need to charge them according to their level at that moment. So these are the key first thing you need to know first. There's some startup, maybe they will start paying you later. I have one startup I work with, Greenish Technology. I work very closely. On my wedding day, when they called up to speak, they said, hey, we know Ike when we had nothing to pay him. But today we can pay Ike any amount of money we need him. So, and they're not saying that because they want to please anybody. Right now they pay me any amount of, so a job I used to, I can charge other persons 5,000. Then I can bid them 60,000. And they know that cost is high, but because it's coming from Ike, they'll say, hey, let's leave it for Ike. He has. So sometimes
thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ike. Thank you so much. Hello, Ike. Thank you so much. I hope that the audience are learning. So we're just going to go straight and ask. There are lots of questions in the chat box. So many of the questions are actually similar. So especially the one that is asking about how they can start. So people are asking, how can we start? How can I become a full stack developer? How can I become a graphic designer? How do I start? This is what you have to say. So just briefly, maybe one minute for each of you. For the four of you, please. How should they start? In your different fields, how should one start? And what are the skills they need to acquire? Can we go with Chamaka, please? Chamaka, can you tell us?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Okay. Let Chamaka go first.
Chamaka, are you ready?
If it's not ready, let me go.
Okay, please, Oluwatosin, you can continue. Maybe Chamaka.
Okay. Okay. Okay, I go first. Sorry.
Okay, you can
All
tell
right.
us, please.
All right. Okay. Just like they said, if you want to become a pope, you need to start by being an altar boy, right? So you need to start somewhere before you can get to the level where you want. So first, you need to consider practice first. You need to come out, you need to become a volunteer, you need to serve someone first, before someone can serve you. Understand? And second, one thing I want to also make remark, the government of Anambra State have done so well to every youth Anambra. It's now left for us to now recognize what the government is doing for us. I want you to understand that anything you don't recognize, you cannot celebrate. It's not celebrate. You can't celebrate what you don't recognize. Understand? And I'm believing what you can recognize. There's always a room for you to reward it. Understand? And that reward can actually be in the sense of, since you have you know that the governor or the government have done something of this nature, you've tapped from this. The next thing is that once you appreciate, because some you may actually be waiting for the government to give you money or to share money, but this is much more than money. So it's just left for you to know that now your life, the things you have been praying for is now in your palms, is now in your hand, for you to now tap from it and make good use of it now. So my advice every one of us here today is we've gotten what we need. Every one of us, every young graphic designer here, you don't need any other thing from anybody. You don't need any other blessing. You don't need any other money from it. All you need has been given to you. The government have empowered you. In fact, let me say this. We are actually in the generation, one of the best generation to be in right now. This is an internet generation. Some of these things we are benefiting today, these are things we pay huge amount of money to learn. I myself, I have to sell my phone. I have to sell everything I had to learn graphic design. But today,
thank you.
These are the things government is giving for free for us to come and learn. So we actually gotten everything we need to start. So you just need to make that move. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'll speak now.
Precious. Okay.
Yes. I'll try to make it brief, really. So for, I think I'll just kind of like speak broadly, really. I think the very first step is to, after you've acquired the digital skills, is to apply them, really. And in order for you to apply them, right? So it's either you want to do the old-fashioned way of discovering things yourself, trial and error. That's kind of like more like the self-taught developer route. And the other is to kind of like go for like a formalized training program where they teach you to show you the ropes. Okay, this way you go, this is how you do things, really. Then when you're done with that, I think one thing I would recommend for people to do is, number one, trying to find a community. So either within your class or within your university graduates, maybe like for instance, if you're in university, go to the computer science department. You'll see some guys that know how to program there. Really. Speak to some of these guys, they'll show you the steps. And then they also, some of them will be willing to share tips on how to do. The other is there tends to be like meetups. So these are kind of like an event like this, but maybe on a much smaller scale, really, maybe in Onisha or in Aqua, depending on wherever region you are, really, organized by various groups. You should try to attend some of these events and network, really. That will give you more opportunities to meet people that know kind of jobs or connecting people really that have jobs to do, really. I think the next step is for you to kind of like find a mentor. So there's a website online called Meet a Mentor, right? So it's an online service. You go there, you kind of like pick which field really you want, and then it's going to match you or link you with a mentor. So you can have like maybe 30 minutes or 15 minutes discussions with the mentor, maybe every 2 weeks or once a month, really. So the mentor can guide you and kind of like hold you accountable, really, for kind of like goals that you set, really, on your kind of like career path, really. And I think the most important thing is, number one is learn, really. You can't stop learning. Whenever you learn something new, try to put it into practice. If you think it's good enough, add it to your portfolio and try to show it out to people, really. So whenever you come across prospective kind of like clients, really, I'm going to give you jobs, there's a ton of things you can point them to that, well, these are the things I've done, really. I've worked on this, I've done this and that. Really, your work will speak for you really at that particular stage really. So you learn, you apply, and then kind of like you present also really. That's kind of like more or less the presentation and portfolio part.
Thank you.
So I believe if you're able to apply some of these things really, you will be able to kind of like structure, you are more or less kind of like plan your career out, and at each stage or level you get to really, you'll be able to kind of like meet the right people, make the right connections, and also kind of like have that desired growth that you want.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So if I heard you correctly, the suggestions are get a formal training, network with professionals and enthusiasts in your field, and get a mentor, and then keep on learning and improving on your skills. Thank you so much. Precious, please, what you have to say? Do you have anything to add to this? Please, 1 minute, please.
Yes, so, in the world of web design and development, just like the name sounds, there are two aspects of it. So one is web design, one is the other is web development. So for a lot of people that are not so technical, what I would advise is this. There are a lot of web designers out there. So first of all, web designers actually use what we call content management systems to design beautiful websites that you wouldn't even know were designed with content management systems. And then they do that for clients, and they charge clients any amount they wish to charge without really having the core programming knowledge that some people say bust the head. So if you are starting and then you would want to hit the ground running. So one of the things you could do is explore some content management systems that you could quickly learn. So when I say content management system, you may already have heard about WordPress. A lot of people are using WordPress to make a lot of money. You hear about Wix, you hear about Weebly, you hear about Webflow, Squarespace. There are a lot of them there that you don't even need to code. So they are called no-code developer tools. There are a lot of them. So find some of them and learn. Some of them are just maybe drag and drop, put things together, and then your very beautiful website is there. So with this, you can start by plucking the low-hanging fruits. Once you're able to do a couple of things with content management systems, then the next thing is how do you make money out of this? You can reach out, you can start your marketing from a localized approach. There are a lot of businesses around you who, in one way or the other, are not utilizing the power of internet to market their products, to online presence, right? So you can approach these businesses, you can approach these organizations, just do a demo, present something for them, and tell them, convince them, tell them the importance of getting online, tell them the importance of online presence, show them testimonies from similar companies that are operating from somewhere, from other places, and what they are doing, how they are, improving their operations, improving their sales, their marketing, and all of those things with online presence. So you could propose, and then you will be surprised at the number of yeses you're going to get. Because yes, the world is going digital, and then a lot of businesses around you are going to follow suit. But some of them are not, you may not be seeing them go digital now because they do not even know. So you need to approach them. You may be surprised at the number of yeses you're going to get. But first of all, you need to have the knowledge, build something, show that you're able to do something, then start plucking the low-hanging fruit, move around in your locality, propose websites, propose things that can help them in one way or the other, and you can start making money. From there, you can now enroll for more advanced courses that can now take you through core programming skills, where you get to build out front end, get to build out back end, and then where you can build the logic yourself. But first of all, you can start with content management systems and then advance from there. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I hope you heard that. Start with content management systems and then keep on learning. Thank you so much. So the audience, a lot of them are asking for your social media handles. I don't know if it's okay for you. Can you just type them in the chat section if you're comfortable with that? You can drop the links or the names in the chat section so that they can follow you. Thank you so much. Tosin, there's a question for you. This is, I think, one of the first questions. So the question is, the person says, I do like to learn software development, but do not have laptop. What do you advise? Can I learn with my phone? He does not have a laptop, but he wants to learn software development.
I would love Mr. Precious to speak on this too, really. So, to be honest, to start with, I would say it's essential you have some kind of device, either a PC or a laptop, really, when you are fully involved, kind of like in the software development kind of journey. To start with, there's some kind of like fundamentals you have to learn, right? So there are some apps for like tablets and mobile phones that can help you kind of like to get some of the basics of things like if-else statements, logic, some kind of like function blocks and things like that, really. So there are some kind of like apps on mobile phones that can help you to do that, really. But like Mr. Precious said, right? The moment you want to start building things like content management systems like WordPress, right? It involves you to kind of like set up an environment, set up a slightly specialized environment. So there are a couple of steps, and you will not be able to do that on your mobile phone, really. So I'd say with on the mobile phone, you can learn some of the fundamentals and basics, right? But when it comes to actual implementation and building stuff, right, that you can ship out or you can give to people, then you definitely need a laptop. The short answer is yes, you do need a laptop. But if you don't have a laptop now, you can save or plan towards getting a laptop, but you can learn some of the basic things, really. However, in terms of kind of like, if you were to say from 0 to 100, you can probably do like maybe like 5 or 10 max with a phone, really. And that's being generous. With the laptop allows you to go the extra mile and length, really. So yeah, so Mr. Precious, please, would you like to comment or support or probably provide an alternative approach related to what I said?
I think you've said it all. If you would like to really go well into web design or development, one of the requirements is that you need to have a computer. There is a limit to what you can do with your mobile phone. Some of the times, I mean, it's very difficult for instance, WordPress is very difficult to control anything, build out pages and all of that from your mobile phone. So you need a laptop, and it's very important as a stepping stone into your web development or web design career.
Thank you so much. So just to add to what they've said, you don't necessarily need to buy an expensive laptop. You can, buy some fairly used laptops, just save up and get a fairly used laptop. Thank you so much. Please, I will take 2 more questions. I have 1 question here. The first one out of the 2 says, as a graphic designer, at what point do you think you should put a price to what you do? This question is for you, Ike Chukwu. As a graphic designer, at what point do you think you should put a price to what you do? The person says, I just started as a graphic designer. I finished an introductory class. I don't know if you got that question, Ike Chukwu.
Okay. Yeah, I think I get the question. Yeah, very well. Okay, first, I think there are 2 questions here. The first one, at what point will I have to charge, give a price to a client? So at every point, there is always a need for you to have a price. You need to know the cost for everything you're doing. In as much as we are actually in a digital world now, there's an AI now, people can easily go on to do it, but there's still need for you to have a price. That is where packaging comes in. You need to package yourself, you need to package what you do. So by the time you just work free, and people will just see you that you don't want it. So there's a difference between you working for people for free, and there's a difference for you working for someone as a volunteer. So if you want to work as a volunteer, you should know reasons why you are getting involved with that volunteer. In fact, let me be honest with you. Some of the things, some of the companies, organizations work as volunteer. We might think we actually the one working for them, helping them. They are actually the one doing much good for us, if you understand the meaning of it. So they're actually the one projecting us. They are actually the ones we can use to reference our CV tomorrow. Those are the people we can use to say, hey, I know this company, I work with this company. So they are volunteers, they're actually doing us well, much more than us. So, but if you want to work for free, it's quite different from you working for a company as a volunteer. So at all points, you need to charge. You need to put a cost to whatever you do. Secondly, the second question you asked, you said, I just started a graphics design, just class, and I'm using Canva. What's your next advice for me? Okay, Canva is very good, but I always advise people, don't always feel comfortable with a particular software. That is how I work. The software I use in 2012 is no longer the software I use now. At some point, I felt like the software was affecting me. I couldn't do much. I have to refer back most of my works. I have to delete it off from my laptop. I started with a CorelDRAW. At some point, I have to delete off CorelDRAW from my laptop, and I advanced into using Adobe softwares like Photoshop, Illustrator. So I started using those softwares. Even when it was back then in Abuja, we are not up to 10 people who uses Photoshop then. And that was the reason why if you come to UTC or More Plaza or Commerce Plaza in Abuja, there's nowhere you mention my name then, they don't know me. They usually come in that small boy that does graphics. So we have quite few number of people that uses that software then. And when I came to UNN, that was also one of my selling points in UNN, because we have millions of designers there, but how many of them are willing to advance in what they do? So I'm one of those persons that I don't usually feel comfortable where I am. And that is why today I can tell you, I can comfortably tell you I'm a video, I'm a video editor. I can tell you now, I can also build websites. I actually build a website Oxford University is using now. So I don't feel comfortable where I'm at all moment, at every time. I always feel the need for me to advance to what I do. Today, I requested for camera in my office where I work, not because I'm too perfect. Right now, I'm going for a course on it. I have someone putting me through on it, not because I'm too perfect, but because I feel like there's a need for me to improve in everything I do. So you don't feel comfortable because you're using Canva and you feel relaxed. I don't want to bring Canva is an AI user base. So you need to do as much as you can to know how to use the advanced software. So don't feel comfortable because you know how to use AI. At every moment, find a reason for you to advance in what you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I hope you understood that. Do not feel comfortable using Canvas alone. At some point, you would need to advance and continue developing on your skills. So I'm going to take the last question. This last question is for Tosin. He says, you said something about a guide on any aspects of digital skill of a specialization where you can, sorry, I have a little bit of problem. Yeah, so the question basically is, do you know any website or any platform where one can, start learning these digital skills?
Well, the one is digital skills is the broad category, right? Mm-hmm. So things like how to even use properly PowerPoint, spreadsheets, really. It's part of digital skills, really, but they are basic digital skills, right? So things like using of like ID software IDs like Visual Studio, things like GitHub, those are much more kind of specialized over software development. So it depends really on kind of like what kind of skill you're trying to kind of like use. For me, I think what I can say is you can go online and you can pick a particular tool, and then you can learn more about the tool, really. But kind of like maybe there's a website where you have all these digital skills. I'm not sure really, because ultimately it depends on the vendor, depends on the platform. There are different things really that. I've worked with multiple companies, and each company I've worked with, they've probably had one particular software that they were using. And when I got to a different company, they were not using it again, really. So there are certain skills that are general, that apply to kind of like almost anything. So things like time management, project management, how to organize and manage your tasks, all that cuts across kind of like all different kind of fields. But for certain tools or applications, they might just be specific really for certain industries, really. So it depends really on which industry you're willing to work. So I think I would ask people to focus on kind of like the general skills around. And depending on where you find, if you're working for a company, definitely that may kind of like shape the direction you're going. Or probably if you maybe have some personal preferences. All right, for me, I've always had a desire to learn something related to automation, right? So I will be drawn towards kind of like any tool that is related to automation. So for instance, if anyone is going to automation or business process automation, really, I would advise them to kind of like learn a tool like UiPath. So there's a community for it. You can download the tool for free. You can learn how it works. And definitely automation is process automation really is definitely a field where there are very, very few people that are experts on it. So this is kind of like something which I feel like people can actually work on. But ultimately it depends on kind of like what skill you're trying to learn. So, sorry, I didn't give a very narrow answer. Yeah, the question I brought to really. So, yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much, Tosin. So the key takeaway is that you need to do your own personal research and maybe research on the general skills and decide on the ones you're interested in, and then do further research in platforms where you can develop those skills. I don't know if I'm right, Tosin. So please, one last word for last words, just maybe like 20 seconds from all the panelists. What you have to, the final take home to the audience, what you have to say to us before we wrap up. I don't know if Shamaka is still online.
Thank you very much, everyone, for your audience. So in conclusion, I would say that there is a saying that goes that tech is the new oil. Maybe that's not a reality yet here in Nigeria, but then that's a future possible statement. Very soon, in fact, everything is headed to, technology. All companies, all sectors are currently using one or two tools, digital tools to aid their operations. So, and then there are people who are going to be the producers, who are going to be the oil block owners in this digital economy. So there is enough money to be made in the digital space. Any skill you learn today, you will find them very, very useful in no distant time. When I was learning HTML, CSS, and all of that, there was no payment, there was no money in front of me. But then today, I'm making money from that skill. So I advise everyone, if you're on this, the Anambra State government has provided a platform where you can get trained for free, where you can buy your own oil block now for free. You utilize that opportunity, learn one skill or another. It doesn't have to be a technical skill. It doesn't have to be programming. There are a lot of, so many spaces in the tech world, in the tech space where so many things you can learn that are not so technical. So key into the opportunity presented to you, learn something, and then in no distant time, you will come back to testify that Anambra State government provided something some years ago, and then you're surprised at how much you're making with the skill you learned from the program. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Do you have something to add? Your last words.
Yes, and thank you so much. The last thing I have to say is, first, I want to say a very big thank you to our government, to this very good avenue they have created for the youths. I want to tell you one thing, everybody listening to me right now. These things government is giving us for free. They are not actually free out there. I myself here, you can't even come to me. In my office, I have 3 students I'm teaching graphic design right now. And none of them I'm charging below 100,000 currently now. So, but these are the things government is giving out for free. And then not just to graphic design, other related tech classes. So I want to encourage every one of us, take these teachings for free. These are the things that have been feeding me for over 11 years of my life now. Back then, if you know me back then in UNN, I used this to pay my school fees. In my 3rd year, I was able to buy a car for my dad. I wasn't doing Yahoo, I wasn't doing any other illegal job apart from me being a graphic designer. So I want to encourage every one of you. This is things we paid. I paid money and I spent 2 years to learn. But right now, the internet have made it possible that you can actually learn these things within a space of time, within 2 months. The things we learned then with 2 years, you are learning it within 2 months now, and you can sit at the comfort of your home to learn these things without stress. So last thing I want to encourage everyone is I want to also let you know that be very clear from the beginning. At this beginning stage now, you need to be very clear what you want to achieve from this. If you want to achieve this, at the end of the day, become a rascal, fine. If you want to achieve this because you want to start an illegal job, fine. But you need to know, you need to be very clear to what you want at this beginning stage. Understand? So, and also start whatever, as you're starting now, you also have to start with the goal in your mind. Understand? You have to have that goal in your mind. This is what I want to achieve. This is what I want to get. And the last thing I want to say again is that you need, at the course of this, you need to try different formats. Understand? because I use a particular format doesn't mean that format will work for you. So you need to try different formats for you to be able to achieve what every one of us here have achieved, or much more that we have done. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Chelsea, please, you have something to add?
Okay, yes. Thanks for everyone that's attended the program today. And I think if there is anything really that everyone here should take home, is brought from the keynote speech and from the kind of like panel session we just I had, is that there are massive opportunities that exist in the tech ecosystem. And we should not just limit ourselves to kind of like building for kind of like even our local community also. We should also aspire to build tools and services really that we can export to our neighboring countries, and even internationally as a whole. So obviously, brick by brick, that's kind of like how houses are built, just like what Mr. Precious said. You have to start from somewhere, and we should always have a goal in mind, really. When you acquire the skills, it's important for you to apply them. There is no, if you have a skill and you don't use it, really, then there's no way it's going to add value to your community. It's not going to add value to even you yourself, really. So whatever skill that we have or we acquire from the program, this solution innovation kind of program, I think we should apply them really. Never always ask for help at any point. If you feel you are struggling with a particular concept or idea, find someone that can explain to you and show you the way really. You should never be afraid to ask questions, never be afraid to make mistakes, and also keep building stuff really. That's I think the final kind of like stuff I would like to have. Keep learning and keep building really. That's kind of like the motto I would like every one of us to live by. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Tosin. Thank you, everyone. We've all been very patient. We're about to wrap this panel session up. Do not forget, just a few tips for you, things to meditate on. So we've been told to strategize from the very beginning. You should start with an end goal in mind, carve out your own niche, leverage on the massive opportunity in the tech space, aspire for big things, and then acquire skills, and do not forget to also apply the skills. Thank you so much. There's still many questions in the chat box, but unfortunately we are unable to take those questions. Please, you can send emails or reach out to us through our social media handles. You can drop your questions there, and we would more especially send emails, please. I don't know if anyone drop an email address for them on the chat box so that we can receive their questions through email. Thank you so much, dear participants, and special thanks to the Governor of Anambra State, and special thanks also to Chinwe Okoli, Senior Special Assistant to the Governor of Anambra State on Business Incubation and Innovation. We appreciate this, and thank you so much to all our panelists for the insightful sessions. Really, thank you. We appreciate you. So thanks to myself as well. If you, I don't know, maybe you should, I don't know if you'd be kind enough to grade me in the chat section on a scale of 1 to 10. Please grade your moderator. Thank you. I hope I've been an excellent moderator. So please, if you have further inquiries, just send emails to us and we would answer you. I wish you all a very good evening. Thank you once again.